All right, we've had some breaking news on the show today. We had Mike Zimmer, we had Matt Nagy. Not a lot of surprise there, but this, honestly, like I said, I had to take a little bit of a break, and I really can't wait to rewatch my live reaction now. But Brian Flores out as Miami Dolphins head coach. I wouldn't say I'm at a loss for words because I have a few theories of what's sort of going on, but I'm very, incredibly surprised. This is a coach who has led a team that 3 years ago was considered a travesty to the game because of how bad they were on paper. It was shameful for them to field a roster this bad in pursuits of tanking for a quarterback. He brought that team to 5 wins in a season. The next year, with expectations still incredibly low, thinking of maybe a 6 or 7 win season, they won 10 games. They went 10-6 and somehow missed the playoffs. Very, very unlucky to miss the playoffs a year ago. This year they start off 1-7. Flores goes 8-1 down the stretch. He doesn't have a lot to work with. I just think, honestly, I think the players love him. I think he's built something. I think we have a formula that works. We have one of the youngest teams in the NFL. We have a young quarterback. We have so many draft picks. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And I think Miami could be making a very, very big mistake here because he's proven he is not going to last on this job market. If I'm Jacksonville, I pick up the phone right now and call this guy.
I think he's going to get I think he'll move laterally. I think he's going to get another head coaching job. Yeah. I don't usually see the coordinator. Regardless, let's say he doesn't get a head coaching job. Next year, he'll be top of the name of the cycle again. He'll just get a coordinator job for a good team, and he'll be a head coach in no time. I think you were mentioning that. I mean, I don't know a lot about the Dolphins, but I know this comes as a surprise because I thought Brian Flores was a pretty good coach. I mean, say what you want about the team offensively, but let's look at the Dolphins from a talent perspective on the offensive side of the ball. They're not the Chiefs, not the Chargers,
exactly.
They're not the Bengals. They don't have stars. Tua is a good quarterback, but I don't know if Tua has the ceiling or is he?
He's no means a leader
at this point in his career.
Yeah.
So there's clearly limitations on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know if you can sort of use that as a way to say, oh, that's why he should be fired. But look at the team. They rallied back. They were 1-7 and they finished, or they were 1-6 or what?
1-7.
1-7.
They finished 9-8.
9-8. Come on.
2 weeks ago was a debacle. Playoffs on the line. You go into Tennessee and you get killed.
Yeah,
but at this point, I've often said I think Flores could be a phenomenal defensive coordinator because, honestly, I do think he has his limitations offensively. The offense has really, really struggled the past few years. And with how last season went, finishing 10-6 with a rookie quarterback, I really, really expected to make the playoffs this year. I did. I must say. It is disappointing.
I think a lot of people did.
But something that nobody is talking about in the national media, nobody. Of all the teams to miss the playoffs, Miami's with the Ravens in this as well. Miami missed their quarterback for 5 weeks this year. If Tua does not hurt his ribs in week 2, there is no possibility that Miami is not in the playoffs today because they did not win a game without Tua once he went down with his rib injury. And I honestly think if he plays against the Raiders, a game that they lost in overtime, he is much better than Jacoby Brissett. He's the difference in that game. Against the Colts, the same thing. So I feel like this is a little unfair to Brian Flores. I feel like he's falling on the sword. But I also want to look bigger picture because there's been clearly organizational differences in terms of where they want to move forward. Perhaps, and this is just a theory, of course, Brian Flores is maybe against trading for Deshaun Watson, and he wants to stick with Tua Tagovailoa. But at the same time, Watson has been very adamant on going to Miami, and that's strictly because Brian Flores is the head coach, and that's the guy he wants to play for. So where do we go from here? Are they shipping Flores off so that they can trade for Watson? I know you've been reading on Twitter that Jim Harbaugh is the main candidate. What is going on?
That was honestly the name that came to my head right away before I even saw the sort of stuff come out on Twitter and all that. I thought sort of Jim Harbaugh was maybe, I don't want to say the perfect fit, but he does sort of feel like a strong candidate for that job. But look, I think this is a big time shocker in the sense that you look at the coaches that are getting fired and they almost trended like this way. But I know Flores, I don't want to say he's trended directly up.
This year was a bit of there were big ups and downs this year.
But as a whole, given that this is only his second or third year as a head coach, he's done a fairly good job.
There's just no patience anymore,
right?
I sort of understand it, but
that's. I mean, I guess the sense of urgency, Miami is hungry for. Maybe it has to do with, honestly, another thing that people aren't really talking about that just sort of rang a bell in my head. Maybe the owner feels like the candidates that are out there are better than Flores.
Unless it's Harbaugh, I really disagree with that. I just think that yes, I get it. Miami's been mediocre. My whole life as a Dolphins fan, we've been 7-9, 6-10, 8-8, maybe 9-7. Maybe last year was a miracle to win 10 games. So I understand there's a huge sense of urgency to not just be good, but to be great. And maybe you don't think Flores can be that guy. But let me tell you, and this is a warning, the grass is not always greener on the other side. And I think that, Miami could be looking back a year, 2 years from now and thinking, man, we had something going for us, and that's just all gone now. I don't know. To me, this is once again the Dolphins. They're in the headlines for the wrong reasons. It seems like Stephen Ross is just losing it as the owner. I don't know how Chris Grier is safe and Flores is not, considering what Chris Grier's done with our draft picks in recent years. I don't know. What are you reading on Twitter right now?
I'm reading right now that so Schefter said that Chris Grier is safe.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a head scratcher.
He also said that Brian Flores is expected to be a prime candidate to get a head coaching consideration elsewhere during this hiring cycle, which is what I just talked about. But I also saw this. It's not from Schefter. It's from Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports.
He's been on the Deshaun. He's been really credible with a lot of Deshaun information.
Very, very credible report that nobody really talks about. He doesn't talk often, but when he speaks, he's sort of always right here. And he says that the Dolphins firing Brian Flores likely resets the Deshaun Watson landscape pretty significantly. Flores was very much the driving force behind that interest, and the tandem of Flores and Grier was a part of what made Watson willing to waive his no-trade clause to Miami. Everything has changed.
So that's such a shocker to me because I've always felt like Chris Grier and Stephen Ross were the driving force of the Watson
I know
deals, and I don't know. This is what a unexpected turn of events here on this podcast and this morning. This is going to get some getting used to. I'm sure I'll be talking about this for the rest of the day and reading about it for the rest of the day. But the fact that my first thought was, okay, we're getting Deshaun Watson, and now it's we're not getting Deshaun Watson. So I just can't believe I have to wait 9 months to watch another Dolphins game.
I'm honestly intrigued to see because if this really does set the Deshaun Watson landscape like everyone's saying, then maybe Tua is the guy in Miami. I don't know.
I'm putting next week we're hanging the Tua jersey.
Hey, you're a Tua guy, so if this is true, then maybe this is, in grand scheme of things, maybe it's good news.
In grand scheme of things, I think if we honestly look at our team, the offense needs to be improved. You're not going to go into Buffalo and win with how we play on the offense. Yesterday we scored 33 points. We had 2 defensive touchdowns. It seems like every week we win, we need to score a defensive touchdown. So I don't know. I still think that this is very, very unfair. At the same time, it's the NFL. So
not we'll for see. Long. It is what it is.